Hey friends! Welcome back to another slow, wonder-filled journey through the mysteries of our universe. Today we're going to imagine something absolutely wild. What might happen if the icy giant Uranus, that distant serene planet, drifted all the way toward Earth and collided with us? Don't worry, we'll take it step by step, exploring the science, the scale, and the strangely beautiful chaos of such a cosmic encounter. If you enjoy calm science adventures like this, consider giving a gentle like or subscribing to help our little corner of curiosity grow. And I'd love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what planet you'd choose to visit if you could. So put on your headphones, close your eyes. Let's begin. In the vast darkness of space, planets drift quietly, each holding its own story, its own slow heartbeat, in the endless rhythm of the universe. Earth spins with grace, a blue and green jewel floating in the deep velvet of night. Its oceans sway gently with the pull of an unseen force, tides rising and falling as if breathing. Clouds wander lazily across its sky, and winds whisper softly over forests and deserts. Life hums in stagnant harmony with the turning of the planet, each creature moving in tune with the invisible music of the cosmos. Yet far beyond the orbit of Saturn, a distant giant slumbers, wrapped in layers of ice and gas. Uranus, pale and serene, drifts along its lonely path, tilted gently on its side, spinning in quiet solitude. Its blue-green hue comes from methane, a gas that captures sunlight and transforms it into a soft, distant glow, a gentle reminder that even the far reaches of our solar system are alive with subtle beauty. The scale of the universe is difficult to imagine, even when one tries to picture it with the mind's eye. Earth, a planet teeming with life, is small when compared to Uranus, which is over 4 times wider and more massive than our home. Yet, despite the difference in size, both planets are bound by the same invisible threads of gravity, circling the sun in a delicate dance that has lasted for billions of years. Gravity is the quiet puppeteer of the cosmos, a force without sound yet with immense power. It pulls, tugs and holds, shaping the movements of stars and planets, ensuring that the vast emptiness between worlds is not empty at all, but alive with a subtle tension, a promise of order in chaos. Scientists often speak of orbits, trajectories and escape velocities, but at its core, gravity is the soft music that keeps planets spinning, moons circling and galaxies swirling in their majestic formations. In this calm expanse, one can almost imagine time as a flowing river. Years drift past slowly, centuries slip away like clouds, and millennia pass with the quiet grace of falling snow. Each planet moves at its own pace, yet all are part of the same rhythm, a cosmic choreography that is ancient and eternal. Earth turns day into night with gentle consistency, providing warmth and light, nurturing life in patterns that have repeated for billions of cycles. Uranus, distant and cold, completes its long, slow journey around the sun every 84 Earth years. It moves with a patience that is almost unimaginable to human minds, a motion so gradual that centuries pass with little notice of its subtle progress. Yet in the quiet depths of space, even the slowest drift carries the potential for change, the possibility that 2 worlds, so different in nature and temperament, could one day meet in a collision both beautiful and catastrophic. As the sun sends its rays outward, brushing past planets and moons, light becomes a storyteller itself. Earth glows warmly, the atmosphere scattering sunlight into the soft blues and golds that define its skies. The oceans shimmer, reflecting clouds and light, while the land glows in muted tones of brown and green. Farther away, Uranus captures sunlight in a different way. Its icy atmosphere bends and refracts the faint rays, creating a soft green-blue glow that seems almost ethereal, like a dream lingering at the edge of consciousness. There is a stillness in this distance, a quiet beauty that is not loud or brash, but profound in its serenity. Astronomers gaze at Uranus through telescopes, observing its faint rings and moons, noting the patterns in its clouds, and marvelling at its gentle rotation. Some scientists believe that within its depths lie mysteries yet unknown, layers of gas compressing into liquids under pressure unimaginable on Earth, perhaps even oceans of water, ammonia or methane, hidden beneath clouds that seem so delicate from afar. Others wonder what might happen if these two worlds, one warm and teeming with life, the other cold and majestic, were to drift from their paths and meet in the dark. The thought is both frightening and mesmerizing. Imagine Earth and Uranus drifting toward each other, the first whispers of movement almost imperceptible. In the vast emptiness between them, nothing makes a sound, yet the forces at play are immense. Gravity stretches across space like invisible fingers, tugging ever so slightly at the edges of each planet. Tides begin to rise in the oceans, subtle and slow, as the pull grows stronger with every passing day. Atmospheres shiver with anticipation, clouds swirling in soft spirals that seem almost sentient. Even the core of the Earth, molten and alive with energy, begins to hum in response to the distant approach of its massive visitor. Uranus too senses the pull, the tiny drift of its orbit shifting imperceptibly. Its vast icy layers remain calm, yet within them subtle currents begin to stir, tides of liquid and gas moving in patterns that have never been recorded by any observer, save perhaps the quiet universe itself. This moment, the calm before the cosmic dance, is not a sudden event, but a long, gentle awakening. It is a meditation on the nature of time and space, a reminder that even the slowest of processes can carry profound consequences. Life on Earth continues mostly unaware, with animals, plants and humans moving through their days as usual. Scientists, however, look to the stars and calculate trajectories, orbits and velocities, mapping the potential paths of planets with equations that trace invisible curves across space. They imagine the potential meeting, the collision of rock and ice, the blending of atmospheres, the shockwaves of energy that would ripple outward. Yet even in these calculations, there is a beauty, a poetry in understanding, as though the universe itself is inviting its observers to contemplate both the fragility and grandeur of existence. In this quiet, one can reflect on the deep contrast between Earth and Uranus. Earth is a planet of diversity, with mountains and valleys, oceans and deserts, forests and plains. Its surface is alive with motion shaped by tectonic forces and water, wind and fire. Uranus, by contrast, is more uniform in appearance but no less fascinating. Its clouds drift in muted streaks shaped by wind and thermal currents, while beneath them lie layers of liquid and gas compressed under unimaginable pressure. Its moons, small and icy, circle in disciplined orbits, casting faint shadows across the planet's surface. The contrast is poetic. One world rich with texture and life, the other serene and mysterious. A quiet giant moving through space with patience that challenges human understanding. Yet both are part of the same cosmic family, dancing to the same rhythm, subject to the same forces, and perhaps destined to meet in a way that would transform both forever. And so, as one drifts in thought, watching planets spin in their dark ballet, there is a sense of both calm and wonder. The universe is vast, incomprehensible in its scale, yet deeply intimate in its patterns. The approach of Uranus toward Earth, slow and imperceptible at first, carries with it a story of energy, motion, and transformation. It is a story not yet written, a collision not yet occurred, a meeting that is at once terrifying and beautiful. In this quiet contemplation, one can feel the heartbeat of the cosmos, the gentle tug of gravity, the slow unfolding of time, and the eternal dance of planets, each moving to its own rhythm yet bound together in an intricate, unending choreography. And in this calm before the inevitable approach, there is space to imagine, to dream, and to let go. For the universe, in all its enormity, is patient. It moves without rush, teaching those who watch it that even in the face of cosmic forces beyond understanding, there is beauty, there is order, and there is a quiet poetry waiting to be felt. As planets spin, stars shine, and the infinite dance of time and space continues endlessly softly, like a lullaby sung across the universe. As Earth continues its gentle spin, Uranus drifts closer, its presence barely felt at first, like a whisper carried across the vast void. From millions of kilometers away, its blue-green glow seems distant, almost like a memory of color rather than an object in motion. But in the language of gravity, even the faintest tug can ripple across space. Invisible forces begin to stretch, bend, and sway, touching Earth in subtle ways that are imperceptible to daily life, yet profound in the slow rhythm of the planet. Tides in oceans rise just a fraction more, currents shift their courses in the deep, and the atmosphere stirs with quiet undulations, like a soft sigh rolling over mountains and plains. Even the crust beneath Earth's surface responds. Rocks, molten cores, and shifting tectonic plates awaken to the faint cosmic pull, moving in patterns that are slow, patient, and eternal. It is in this delicate approach that the universe reminds us of its patient grandeur. Uranus does not hurry. It glides, almost dreamlike, on its curved path through space. Months may pass with barely any change in the night sky, though tiny telescopes might notice a subtle difference in position. Each moment carries the weight of possibility, the chance for change that exists quietly, invisibly in the fabric of reality. Scientists imagine these moments as equations and trajectories, plotting vectors and escape velocities, yet in the mind's eye, one can picture it more gently, a vast, lonely giant slowly waking, gliding through darkness, its icy layers shimmering with secrets untold. It moves without haste, but with inevitable purpose, and Earth, spinning beneath its sunlit atmosphere, drifts in its own rhythm, unaware of the immense visitor drawing near. The approach of Uranus also teaches us about contrasts. Earth is warm and vibrant, alive with wind, water, and living creatures that respond instantly to their environment. Trees bend in breezes, animals shift and forage, rivers follow predictable paths shaped by gravity and geography. Uranus, distant and cold, is silent and serene, composed of gases and ices that flow slowly in currents we can barely imagine. Its atmosphere holds secrets, clouds that drift in pale blues, storms that roll gently yet massively across its surface, and perhaps even internal oceans hidden beneath thick layers of gas. Some scientists believe these layers could contain liquid water mixed with ammonia, flowing quietly under unimaginable pressure, while magnetic fields twist and turn invisibly, creating gentle, unseen patterns in space. Both planets, so different in composition and behaviour, are moving inevitably toward the same invisible meeting point, a convergence that will rewrite the story of both worlds. As Uranus draws nearer, gravity's subtle touch grows stronger. Oceans swell just slightly, currents shift imperceptibly, and Earth itself seems to breathe in anticipation. Clouds begin to twist into slower, more pronounced spirals, as if sensing the arrival of a distant giant. The air carries a different energy, almost imperceptible to human senses, yet detectable to instruments designed to measure pressure, movement, and force. The Moon too dances in response, its orbit feeling the faint tug of a new gravitational player. There is a poetry in this movement, a quiet narrative unfolding that has nothing to do with sound or haste, but with patient, inevitable interaction. One can imagine the universe as a gentle storyteller, narrating this slow approach with invisible hands, moving planets like chess pieces, not in urgency but in calm, deliberate rhythm. From a human perspective, life on Earth continues mostly undisturbed. Birds trace patterns across the sky, fish drift through coral reefs, and people go about their days with little awareness of the cosmic approach. But beneath the surface, subtle changes accumulate. Tectonic plates may shift more frequently, volcanoes rumble softly in response to stress, and seismic readings record quiet disturbances. The slow pull of Uranus acts almost like a deep breath taken across the solar system, imperceptible in a single moment but powerful over weeks and months. Scientists using the most sensitive instruments notice these changes first, plotting trajectories, adjusting models, and imagining the future with careful calculations. Yet even as they work, there is wonder in their observations, a gentle reminder that even distant giants can influence worlds in ways both subtle and profound. The night sky begins to change, not dramatically but gently. Stars twinkle as usual, but Uranus, faint yet visible, becomes a small jewel of green-blue light among familiar constellations. To an observer using binoculars or a telescope, it seems almost close enough to touch, yet it remains a vast distance away. The imagination stretches to bridge that gap, picturing what might occur as the giant drifts closer. The mind can envision gravity tugging harder on Earth's oceans, subtle distortions in the planet's magnetic field, and changes in atmospheric patterns that ripple across continents. These movements are slow and delicate, not catastrophic yet, but hinting at a cosmic intimacy that will eventually grow unavoidable. There is also a sense of quiet tension in the energy that courses through the planets. Even in the vacuum of space, energy moves in waves, currents of gravity and magnetism creating invisible connections. Uranus's magnetic field interacts faintly with the solar wind, creating currents that ripple through space and eventually reach Earth. Perhaps auroras flicker brighter in polar skies, dancing with new intensity as the giant approaches. Perhaps tides rise a few millimeters more than expected, imperceptible to daily life but measurable to those who seek patterns. Each small change is part of a grand story, a prelude to the meeting that is yet to come. As this slow approach continues, one can imagine Earth and Uranus as dancers circling each other, moving in a rhythm beyond comprehension, yet precise in its logic. Earth spins, Uranus drifts, gravity nudges, and each planet adjusts in response, a cosmic choreography unfolding over months or years. There is no rush, no sudden action, only patient, inevitable motion. The universe whispers, and the planets respond, not with sound, but with shifts in mass, energy, and orbit. The enormity of these forces can feel overwhelming, yet there is also a strange serenity in the knowledge that even such massive movements are governed by rules, patterns, and predictable physics. In quiet reflection, one may even feel a personal connection to these distant events. Life on Earth is transient, brief against the slow span of cosmic time. Planets drift, stars live and die, and galaxies swirl in spirals beyond imagining. Yet in the observation of such movement, there is a gentle comfort, a reminder that we are part of a universe that moves in rhythm, that even in the face of enormous forces, there is order, beauty, and poetry. The approach of Uranus is not merely a hypothetical scenario. It is a meditation on time, space, and the nature of reality itself, an invitation to let the mind wander, to imagine vast distances, subtle tugs, and gentle transformations on a scale almost impossible to comprehend. And so, as Uranus drifts slowly closer, there is time to dream. The oceans continue to breathe, the wind continues to whisper, and Earth rotates beneath the sun with patient regularity. The giant moves without hurry, its icy layers shifting imperceptibly, its moons casting faint shadows in the pale light of a distant sun. Gravity hums quietly between worlds, connecting them in ways both seen and unseen. Clouds drift lazily across Earth's sky, reflecting light in soft patterns that change with the passage of days. There is a profound calm in these moments, a sense that even the most unimaginable encounters in the universe begin not with sudden violence, but with patient approach, subtle interactions, and the quiet whisper of inevitability. In this prelude, the universe teaches a gentle lesson, that all great events begin as tiny movements, imperceptible at first, yet cumulative over time. The approach of Uranus toward Earth is a story of anticipation, of slow and deliberate motion, a cosmic ballet played out across millions of kilometers of space. The planets drift, the forces act, and the universe watches silently, allowing time to unfold, allowing energy to accumulate, and allowing imagination to wander into the quiet mystery of what might be. There is awe in this realization, and a comforting sense that even in the vastness of space, the smallest gestures can lead to profound consequences. And so, in the soft hum of gravity, the distant glow of a giant planet, and the quiet rhythm of Earth itself, the first chapter of this cosmic encounter concludes. It is a moment of calm before inevitable change, a meditation on motion, connection, and the slow unfolding of the universe's stories. One can breathe in this hum, feel the rhythm of the planets, and imagine the quiet inevitability of a meeting that is as beautiful as it is immense, a gentle prelude to the magnificent transformative journey that awaits. Time moves differently in the quiet reaches of space. To the inhabitants of Earth, days and nights continue in their familiar cycles, the sun rising and setting, winds carrying the scents of oceans and forests, and clouds drifting lazily across the sky. Yet far beyond, in the dim icy darkness past Saturn, Uranus drifts ever closer, its pale green-blue hue growing imperceptibly brighter as it edges along its orbit. Its approach is slow, deliberate, almost meditative, as if the universe itself is stretching out the moment, allowing the planets to sense each other from afar before their eventual embrace. In the vacuum of space, no sound carries, yet the forces at play are immense. Gravity, quiet yet irresistible, begins to pull more insistently, nudging Earth ever so slightly, like a hand brushing along the surface of a still pond, creating ripples that will grow over time. The gentle tug of Uranus reaches Earth long before the planet itself is visible in the night sky. Oceans respond first, shifting currents in subtle ways that scientists can measure, but ordinary observers barely notice. Tides swell a fraction more, their rise and fall whispering the arrival of a distant visitor. Even the molten core of Earth, deep beneath its crust, hums in quiet resonance, feeling the pull of a body so massive that it bends space itself. Mountains, rivers, and continents seem unchanged, yet in the slow pulse of gravity, every part of Earth begins to anticipate the approach. It is a dance without sound, a conversation between worlds conducted through invisible threads, delicate yet unyielding, stretching across millions of kilometers. Uranus itself moves with a grace that is almost dreamlike. Unlike Earth, with its spinning axis tilted modestly, Uranus rolls along on its side, an unusual orientation that makes it appear to tumble through space like a gentle cosmic log. Its icy atmosphere, rich in methane, scatters the faint sunlight into soft aquamarine hues, creating a glow that seems almost like a whisper of colour against the infinite black. Winds move across its surface, circling the planet in patterns so slow and immense that a human lifetime could barely observe a full rotation. Beneath these clouds, hidden layers of compressed gas and liquid stir, flowing silently under pressures unimaginable to earthbound eyes. Scientists speculate about oceans of water, ammonia and other compounds, hidden beneath thick, shifting layers of ice and gas. It is a world serene in appearance, yet alive with motion, a quiet giant that feels every gravitational nudge and responds with patient adjustment. As Uranus drifts closer, the solar system itself begins to feel subtle shifts. The balance between planets, once so predictable, bends under the influence of this massive traveller. Jupiter, Saturn and Neptune sense the change, their own orbits adjusting imperceptibly over eons in response to the movement of Uranus and Earth. Even the Sun, though massive beyond imagining, exerts its influence differently, a gentle tug on planets that have danced around it for billions of years. The universe is a web of motion, each thread connected, each tug a note in a cosmic symphony. The approach of Uranus is like a single hand plucking a string, setting vibrations that resonate across the solar system, subtle but powerful in their reach. On Earth, the first noticeable effects begin as tiny variations in our familiar world. Seasons shift minutely, weather patterns fluctuate with unusual rhythms, and tides rise a little higher than expected. Birds sense changes in atmospheric pressure, migrating slightly off course, while ocean currents drift in new directions, carrying warmth and nutrients along unexpected paths. Volcanoes deep within Earth's crust feel the gentle pull, their molten hearts stirring in quiet unrest. Yet none of these changes are abrupt or alarming. They are the universe speaking in whispers, hinting at the extraordinary events yet to come. For those who watch with curiosity, these changes are a reminder of the interconnectedness of celestial bodies and the invisible forces that shape life on Earth. The night sky also transforms slowly. Uranus becomes faintly visible as a greenish dot, initially just beyond the edge of perception, then gradually clearer as it drifts closer. Stars, familiar companions in the dark, remain fixed, yet the new arrival creates a subtle shift in the patterns of the sky. To the naked eye, Uranus may appear as a soft, ethereal glow, a gentle reminder of the vastness of space and the beauty that resides in its distant reaches. Through telescopes, astronomers study its rings, moons, and faint clouds, noting changes in its orientation and speed, recording observations that will eventually help predict what might happen when Earth and Uranus draw nearer still. The dance is measured in months, years and decades, far beyond the rhythms of human life, yet intimately connected to the planet we call home. Gravity, in this stage of approach, acts like a patient sculptor, shaping interactions that are subtle yet profound. The immense mass of Uranus pulls on Earth, tugging oceans, bending the crust and altering orbits ever so slightly. The Earth's rotation may experience imperceptible variations, a fraction of a second over months and years, while the magnetic field shifts in response to new stresses. Even the Moon, circling faithfully above Earth, senses these forces, its orbit adjusting in quiet obedience to the gravitational conversation. This slow, methodical preparation is not violent but purposeful, a calm before the extraordinary, a gentle setting of the stage for events that would reshape planets and skies alike. As one imagines this approach, it is easy to see the universe as a patient teacher. It allows us to witness, to measure, and to dream, all while reminding us of the scale and subtlety of cosmic forces. Life on Earth continues its familiar course, unaware for the most part of the silent giant moving closer, yet subtly responding to its influence. Forests grow, rivers carve valleys, animals migrate, and humans go about their days. And yet, beneath this apparent normalcy, a quiet preparation occurs, a prelude to a meeting of worlds measured in eons rather than seconds, whispered across the darkness of space. The approach of Uranus also highlights contrasts between warmth and cold, motion and stillness, life and silence. Earth, vibrant and alive, teems with energy visible on every continent, in every ocean, and beneath the surface where molten rock flows like a hidden river. Uranus, distant and icy, flows with currents invisible to the eye, winds circling in silent majesty, oceans compressed beneath layers of ice and gas. The meeting of these worlds, imagined from afar, feels like a slow unfolding poem, a narrative of contrasts waiting to converge. Both are subject to the same rules of physics, yet their differences make the eventual encounter not just inevitable, but profoundly transformative. In these quiet months or years of approach, one can also imagine the emotional resonance of witnessing such a phenomenon. Even if humans could travel beyond Earth to observe Uranus drawing near, the scale of the experience would overwhelm the senses. The sheer size of the icy giant, the slow, graceful movements, the subtle shifts in light and gravitational force, these are reminders of the humility inherent in existence. The universe is vast, indifferent yet intricate, composed of forces that operate on scales far beyond human perception, yet intimately tied to our planet in ways we're only beginning to understand. Finally, in the approach of Uranus, there is a meditation on patience and inevitability. No sudden bursts of speed or noise herald the arrival. It is measured, deliberate, as if the universe itself savours the slow unfolding of destiny. The planets drift, energies build, and the cosmos continues its quiet rhythm, indifferent to the fleeting concerns of life, yet offering lessons in interconnectedness, resilience, and wonder. To imagine this approach is to imagine patience on a cosmic scale, an unfolding narrative that invites reflection, curiosity, and a gentle awe at the delicate dance of planets across space. And so, as Uranus glides ever closer, a slow, almost imperceptible pull whispers through the solar system. Oceans, skies, cores, and moons respond in gentle rhythm. Gravity hums softly. Time stretches, expanding the moments of anticipation into centuries of cosmic preparation. Stars glimmer in familiar patterns. The night sky deepens and Earth spins beneath its sunlit atmosphere, unknowing yet connected. In the approach of this icy giant, the universe reveals its poetry, measured, patient, and deeply beautiful, a calm and gentle prelude to the extraordinary, inevitable encounter that will forever change the story of both worlds. As Uranus drifts ever closer, Earth begins to sense the subtle approach of its distant visitor. The pull of gravity, once a faint whisper, grows steadily stronger, threading its way through oceans, skies, and crust alike. Tides rise just slightly higher than usual, an imperceptible change to the casual observer, yet carefully measured by scientists in observatories and tide stations across the world. Currents in the deep oceans shift with slow deliberation, carrying warmth and nutrients along paths altered by the invisible tug. Even the atmosphere seems to breathe differently, clouds curling into gentle spirals, winds tracing paths that are almost imperceptibly altered, and storms moving with a rhythm slightly out of their familiar course. These small signs are the first markers of a larger story, a narrative written in the language of physics, patience, and inevitable motion. Beneath the surface, Earth responds in ways that are invisible yet profound. Tectonic plates, which for millions of years have shifted slowly, begin to move with slightly different timing, subtle stresses building along fault lines, whispering to volcanoes and mountain ranges in a language of pressure and energy. Magma stirs beneath the surface, deep reservoirs of molten rock feeling the pull of the distant giant, reacting with rhythms that have never before been recorded. Even the planet's core hums faintly, a deep resonant vibration that mirrors the motion of Uranus as it drifts across the darkness. There is no violence yet, only preparation, a gentle awakening of forces that have slumbered quietly for eons, now stirred by the patient pull of an icy giant approaching across millions of kilometers of space. Above the ground, life moves with its usual cadence, mostly unaware of the changes unfolding across the globe. Birds migrate along familiar routes, but slight variations in air pressure alter their flight patterns ever so subtly. Fish swim through currents that have shifted just enough to guide them differently through coral reefs and open oceans. Trees sway in the breeze, the movement of their branches echoing the invisible forces tugging on Earth's surface. Even humans, caught in daily routines, live within this quiet adjustment, oblivious to the cosmic dance in which they participate without knowing it. The universe is conducting its movements with patience, allowing the small, imperceptible signs to accumulate, slowly building towards the day when the story will become impossible to ignore. The night sky, once familiar, begins to tell a new story. Uranus, initially a faint green-blue speck, grows ever brighter, a jewel slowly approaching the horizon. Astronomers peer through telescopes, marveling at the pale rings and distant moons that orbit this serene giant. They record its movement meticulously, calculating speed, trajectory, and the subtle gravitational effects it imposes on Earth. Some hypothesize the possibility of perturbations in Earth's orbit over centuries, while others speculate about tidal forces affecting the oceans and atmosphere. Yet despite the careful calculations, the spectacle retains a dreamlike quality, a reminder that the universe is both measurable and mysterious, predictable and awe-inspiring. The approach of Uranus is a story told across the canvas of the cosmos, each observation a line in a poem of motion and inevitability. Even the air itself carries subtle changes. Pressure shifts slightly as Uranus draws nearer, creating gentle variations in the winds that brush over mountains, plains, and oceans. Clouds swirl in patterns that are almost artistic, intricate spirals reflecting the slow dance of invisible forces. Storms drift along new courses, their intensity unchanged, yet their path altered by the quiet tug of a distant world. Rain falls in rhythms slightly different from memory. Rivers swell in measured response, and the planet hums in a subtle symphony of motion. These are the gentle tremors of a cosmic approach, the soft prelude to a story written across millions of kilometers, unfolding in slow, deliberate strokes. The oceans, vast and deep, are particularly sensitive to the pull of Uranus. Currents begin to shift imperceptibly, warm water moving along slightly altered routes, while cold water follows new paths beneath. Tides, already a daily rhythm dictated by the moon, feel an added pull, rising ever so slightly higher, whispering across coastlines with a quiet persistence. Coral reefs experience gentle changes in water movement, guiding the creatures that dwell within them along subtly altered paths. Even the largest oceanic predators, unaware of the forces at play, drift along currents that now carry them in ways slightly different from their ancestors. In these oceans, the universe writes its story in invisible ink, a quiet narrative of energy, motion, and connection. Beneath the surface of both planets, the invisible energy of gravity weaves a pattern of anticipation. Uranus, composed largely of gases and ices, feels the tiny tug of Earth's mass as it drifts closer. Its internal currents respond with patience, the slow motion of clouds, liquid layers, and magnetic fields adjusting in response to the distant presence of another world. Earth, in turn, bends ever so slightly, its shape and spin accommodating the gravitational conversation that now hums between the planets. This interplay is a quiet prelude, a cosmic whisper, the slow build-up to a meeting that will one day release energy in ways beyond ordinary comprehension. It is a story told not in noise but in patience, subtlety, and the inexorable pull of physics across space. The moons that orbit both worlds, small and faithful companions, also respond. The moon circles Earth with its usual rhythm, yet imperceptible shifts in orbit begin to appear, a gentle response to the combined gravitational forces of Uranus and Earth. Similarly, Uranus's moons drift in patterns slightly altered by the tug of an approaching planet, creating a quiet ripple of interaction across their icy surfaces. Some of these moons may carry faint signs of stress, ice cracking, shifts in rotation, but all of it is subtle, almost invisible. Yet over time, these tiny gestures accumulate, telling a story written in motion and energy, a narrative of anticipation that stretches across millions of kilometers and millions of years. In the human imagination, one can picture these events like a gentle tide, moving inexorably but without violence. Earth and Uranus inch closer, each responding to the other, each anticipating the inevitable meeting. Oceans, winds, and crusts adjust with quiet grace. Magnetic fields shift imperceptibly, and the night sky slowly transforms with the presence of a pale green-blue jewel approaching from the darkness. It is a lesson in patience, in the scale of time, and in the subtle poetry of the cosmos. Change does not always announce itself with explosions. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet, persistent pull, felt in the rhythm of tides, the drift of clouds, and the gentle stirring of planets across space. Even in the most careful measurements, there remains mystery. Scientists speculate about currents beneath Uranus's clouds, the composition of deep internal oceans, and the effect of subtle gravitational forces on the planet's rotation. On Earth, they calculate tidal shifts, atmospheric variations, and the potential for long-term orbital adjustments. Yet the universe retains its ability to surprise, reminding all who observe that even predictable forces can create outcomes that are beautiful, unexpected, and deeply humbling. The approach of Uranus is both a science and a story, a convergence of fact and imagination, a gentle reminder of the enormity and subtlety of existence. And so, in this stage of approach, Earth and Uranus continue their slow, deliberate journey. Tides rise and fall with imperceptible changes, winds trace new patterns across mountains and seas, clouds swirl with quiet grace, and the distant giant drifts closer, its icy presence growing ever more significant. Gravity hums its chant song between worlds, magnetic fields twist in gentle response, and the universe watches in patient anticipation. In this quiet, one can imagine the poetry of motion, the beauty of patience, and the inexorable pull of destiny on a cosmic scale. The story of Earth and Uranus still unfolding whispers of immense forces and infinite calm, a prelude to a meeting that promises both wonder and transformation. In the quiet vastness of space, the moment of first contact begins not with explosions, but with subtle touch. Uranus, immense and serene, drifts close enough that its gravity shapes the very edges of Earth. Oceans ripple more noticeably now, waves swelling gently in response to a force that cannot be seen, only felt. Tides rise and fall with a rhythm slightly altered, whispering a story that humans are only beginning to imagine. Currents shift beneath the surface of the seas, carrying warmth and nutrients along new pathways, tracing invisible arcs that follow the pull of a distant giant. Even the air, light and fluid, begins to curl in unusual patterns. Storms move along altered courses, clouds spiral in delicate swirls, and the soft touch of gravity is written across the sky in shapes that feel almost artistic. Like nature itself has begun a slow dance choreographed by unseen hands. Beneath the surface of Earth, tectonic plates stir more noticeably. faults shift imperceptibly, molten rock hums in response to the approaching presence, and the crust seems to breathe in time with the distant giant. Volcanoes sense a subtle increase in pressure, their molten hearts pulsing with gentle rhythm, while earthquakes of the smallest magnitude occur unnoticed by most life. The planet itself is alive with awareness, moving in anticipation of a meeting that will transform everything. It is a quiet dialogue between worlds, a whisper of energy stretching across millions of kilometers, a conversation conducted in matter, mass, and motion rather than sound. Uranus too responds. Its clouds swirl in complex currents, shifting more rapidly as the gravitational interaction grows stronger. The icy layers within its atmosphere begin to ripple, subtle waves moving through methane-rich clouds. Beneath the surface, oceans of compressed liquid stir, flowing in patterns that are altered by the distant pull of Earth. The planet's magnetic field, immense and invisible, dances slightly in response, a quiet prelude to the energy that will be unleashed when contact becomes inevitable. Its moons, tiny companions circling faithfully, drift along orbits nudged gently by these forces, their icy surfaces reflecting faint light as they participate silently in the cosmic dialogue. Even from a distance, the universe itself seems to lean in, observing this slow convergence. Stars glimmer with faint steadiness, galaxies spin in their distant dances, and the sun continues to illuminate Earth and Uranus alike. Yet the gravitational pull of the two planets creates small disturbances in the solar system, imperceptible to human eyes but measurable by instruments designed to detect even the tiniest shifts. Jupiter and Saturn, massive sentinels of the outer solar system, feel the slight tug of Uranus approaching Earth, their orbits adjusting in minuscule ways over eons. The universe is patient, and it allows this story to unfold slowly, meticulously, and with a gentle inevitability that is almost hypnotic in its calm. From the human perspective, changes are subtle but increasingly noticeable. Ocean tides rise slightly higher than ever measured, even in the calmest conditions. Coastal ecosystems respond in tiny, almost imperceptible ways, as currents carry nutrients to new places, feeding plankton blooms and altering patterns of life at the very base of the food chain. Atmospheric currents shift gently, affecting weather patterns with soft irregularities. Birds migrate along paths slightly altered from tradition, fish navigate new oceanic currents, and life continues, mostly unaware that a distant giant has begun to change the very balance of forces on which existence depends. There is beauty in this subtle transformation, a poetic reminder that even the mightiest events begin in quiet whispers. Gravity, the invisible architect of the cosmos, is now the primary storyteller. Earth's shape is pulled ever so slightly toward Uranus, creating tidal bulges not only in oceans but in the very crust of the planet. Mountains, though immovable in appearance, feel tiny stresses that ripple through rocks and magma chambers. Magma currents in the mantle shift imperceptibly, storing energy that will one day release in both predictable and surprising ways. The balance between the molten interior and rigid exterior of Earth, normally so stable, becomes a delicate dance of response to an invisible hand. Every atom, every particle seems to hum in rhythm with the motion of the approaching giant. Meanwhile, the skies become a canvas for subtle energy. Clouds swirl into shapes that appear almost intentional, reflecting currents of air influenced by gravitational pull. Storms, still gentle, drift in new patterns, and the wind hums faintly in response to forces unseen. The auroras, visible near the poles, shimmer with slightly unusual intensity as magnetic interactions ripple faintly across space. The night sky begins to hold more than its usual familiar patterns. Uranus becomes a steady jewel of pale green-blue, visible without telescope to those who look with patience and wonder. Its presence is calming yet mysterious, a reminder of the immensity of the universe and the quiet power of forces that move beyond human perception. Beneath these movements lies a more profound transformation. The kinetic energy of two massive bodies approaching each other accumulates silently, stored in the rotation of planets, the flow of molten rock and the movement of oceans and atmosphere. Shockwaves have yet to form and the energy is not yet released violently, but it is present, humming beneath the surface like a distant heartbeat. Scientists can model it, calculate potential outcomes and imagine scenarios with astonishing accuracy. Yet there remains a poetry in the uncertainty, a sense that the universe is both rule-bound and endlessly surprising. The collision has not yet occurred, but its approach has already begun to shape the world in subtle, profound ways. In the ocean depths, life feels these changes too, though in imperceptible ways. Deep-sea currents adjust in response to tidal shifts, carrying heat and nutrients along paths that have been dormant for eons. Coral reefs experience slightly altered water flow, affecting the distribution of tiny organisms that sustain entire ecosystems. Even the largest marine creatures, unaware of the forces acting on them, drift in ways guided subtly by the tug of Uranus. The ocean, a mirror of gravity's reach, becomes a silent narrator of the approaching encounter, whispering a story written not in sound but in motion, energy and time. Uranus's influence on Earth's magnetic field adds another layer to this delicate narrative. The field, responsible for guiding migratory birds, protecting the planet from cosmic radiation, and shaping atmospheric currents, begins to feel the quiet pull of the approaching giant. Slight variations occur in direction and intensity, measurable with sensitive instruments but imperceptible to human senses. These changes ripple outward, affecting phenomena from the auroras to the alignment of compasses, all as part of a silent, elegant conversation between two planetary bodies. The universe, in this, demonstrates its power not through chaos, but through precise, deliberate interactions. As Earth and Uranus draw closer, the planets become more than their compositions or sizes. They are characters in a slow, inevitable story. Uranus, massive and serene, carries its icy mantle and hidden oceans like a cloak of mystery, responding to Earth's pull with measured grace. Earth, alive with oceans, winds and molten cores, bends slightly toward its distant companion, adjusting imperceptibly but inevitably. The stage is set, the energy accumulating, and the cosmic forces prepare for a moment that will be both cataclysmic and transformative, yet still in the gentle, poetic rhythm of the universe. The story of first contact is therefore not violent but profound. It is a whisper of forces, a subtle ballet of gravity, magnetism and motion. The oceans rise, the winds shift, the crust hums, and Uranus moves with quiet inevitability. The universe, patient as ever, watches and allows the narrative to unfold, stretching time into an expanse of calm anticipation. It is a lesson in subtlety, in the elegance of energy, and in the quiet power of cosmic scale. Change begins here, softly, imperceptibly, yet with consequences that will echo across millennia. And so, as the two worlds drift closer, brushing the edges of each other's gravitational fields, the first chapter of tangible contact concludes. There is no explosion yet, no shattering of matter, only the quiet, inexorable pull of destiny. Oceans ripple, skies shift, cores hum, and moons adjust their faithful orbits. Gravity threads its invisible song between planets, energy accumulates, and the universe moves in a rhythm that is ancient, vast, and deeply beautiful. In this gentle first contact, the story of transformation has begun, a prelude to the collision that will one day redefine both worlds, written not in chaos but in the soft, steady cadence of cosmic motion. The moment of collision begins as a gentle compression of space itself, an invisible squeeze that gathers energy across millions of kilometers. Earth and Uranus, both immense, feel the pull and resistance of each other's presence, a tug-of-war conducted silently through gravity. At first, there is no thunder, no fire, only the slow convergence of mass, a compression that distorts oceans, crust, and atmosphere alike. The edges of Earth's mantle stretch slightly, responding to the gentle tug of a world far larger, its ice and gas layers pressing inward with a slow, relentless grace. Uranus, enormous yet serene, yields in subtle ways, its gaseous layers flowing around the invisible intrusion, its liquid interiors bending imperceptibly. It is a dance of matter, slow and deliberate, yet loaded with energy that will soon be released in spectacular forms. The first tangible effects ripple across Earth. Oceans rise in enormous swells, their waves rolling higher and farther than ever before, washing over coastlines with a rhythm that is both terrifying and beautiful. Currents twist and spiral as the gravitational pull of Uranus stretches the waters into new paths. Fish, plankton, and other marine life move along these altered routes, carried by currents that are now sculpted by a hand far beyond Earth's own gravity. The atmosphere follows the lead of oceans, shifting in gentle but profound ways. Clouds spiral into complex patterns. Winds curl along altered trajectories and storms drift along new courses, orchestrated by a force that cannot be seen but is deeply felt. Even the air hums softly, vibrating with the energy of contact, whispering across continents in a rhythm synchronized to the slow, unstoppable convergence. Beneath the crust, Earth responds in ways that are invisible yet immense. Tectonic plates shift, groaning under stress, while magma chambers pulse with subtle force. Volcanoes awaken from their slumber, not with sudden eruption, but with gentle surges, molten rivers finding new paths beneath the surface. The mantle flexes like a living fabric, carrying the energy of gravitational compression through rock, liquid, and mineral. Earth's core, molten and alive, resonates with the enormous energy accumulating from the encounter. This energy, though unseen, is vast, storing the potential for transformation that stretches beyond imagination. The planet itself is aware, moving and breathing in quiet harmony with its approaching companion. Uranus, with its thick atmosphere of methane and ammonia, begins to experience the gentle pressure of contact in its own way. Clouds swirl with more intensity, forming intricate eddies and spirals across the pale green-blue sky. Internal currents of liquid shift, carrying energy through layers compressed under unimaginable pressure. Even its magnetic field, immense and invisible, responds subtly, bending and twisting as the gravitational tug of Earth reaches deep into the planet. Its moons, circling faithfully, drift in slightly altered orbits, tiny participants in the immense ballet of mass, energy, and motion. The collision has begun not with rupture, but with adjustment, a slow compression that prefigures the dramatic release of energy yet to come. The energy stored between the two planets is immense. Imagine the kinetic and potential energy of two celestial bodies, each weighing billions of trillions of tons, moving in perfect precision toward one another. As they approach, energy transfers, converting motion into waves, compression into heat. Oceans rise, crust bends, atmospheres swirl, and currents flow in new directions. The very air vibrates with a faint hum, a soft resonance that could almost be imagined as a lullaby sung across the void. Energy accumulates silently, not in explosive bursts, but in patient preparation, a coiled spring ready to unfurl its force with inevitability and grace. As contact deepens, shock waves begin to form. They ripple through Earth's crust, travelling slowly but powerfully, shaking mountains, altering tectonic balance and sending vibrations deep into the mantle. Magma shifts along new paths, volcanoes release heat more intensely, and molten rock begins to blend with incoming materials at the points of stress. The oceans, enormous and deep, feel the pull as gravity stretches and compresses their waters, waves forming patterns unlike any ever observed, rolling across the globe in spirals, curls and surges that seem almost alive. The atmosphere, bound to the motions of both planets, traces these waves in clouds, winds and storms, creating patterns that are simultaneously chaotic and elegant, a visual poem of energy, motion and gentle transformation. Uranus begins to form where the outer layers of Earth and Uranus meet. Tiny fragments of rock, ice and gas are lifted, some melting, some vaporizing, and others drifting silently through the void. These fragments do not scream. They do not burn with visible flame, but they carry energy, particles of matter launched into new paths, some falling back, others circling in small rings, potentially forming new moons in time. The collision is as much an exchange as it is disruption. Material from each world mixes with the other, carrying traces of composition, atmosphere, and subtle chemical signatures. Slowly, patiently, matter becomes both familiar and new, a tapestry woven from planets that were once separate and distinct. Amid this enormous energy, light itself responds. The compression of atmospheres and the blending of layers produce faint glows, subtle and soft, a pale shimmer that moves across the planet's surfaces. Reflections in the oceans, diffuse sunlight, and the scattering of light in methane-rich clouds create a visual symphony of colour. There are no fireworks, no violent blazes, only a quiet luminescence, an ethereal glow that seems to exist both in reality and imagination. It is a reminder that even in events of unimaginable energy, the universe can express itself with gentleness, poetry and elegance. The magnetic fields of both worlds interact in delicate ways. Earth's magnetic shield, responsible for guiding life and protecting the planet from cosmic radiation, bends subtly, interacting with Uranus's own immense field. Currents in the atmosphere and oceans trace these invisible forces, creating faint patterns of flow that are mirrored in the movement of charged particles. The auroras, normally confined to polar skies, shimmer with unusual intensity, painting the night in greens, blues, and faint purples. It is as though the universe itself is painting a story across the skies, a visual narrative of energy and motion that can be felt in the mind even if unseen by the eye. Life on Earth continues, responding in quiet ways to the gentle chaos. Animals feel changes in air pressure, currents, and tides, adjusting migration and hunting patterns imperceptibly. Trees sway in rhythm with altered winds. Forests whisper under currents that carry more moisture or heat than before. Oceans carry warmth, nutrients, and life along new paths, subtly changing ecosystems while maintaining the delicate balance of survival. The planet adapts, absorbs, and transforms, illustrating the quiet resilience of life even in the presence of forces that dwarf human understanding. And so, the first stage of collision is a meeting of giants, slow and deliberate yet loaded with energy. Earth and Uranus interact through gravity, matter, and magnetism, exchanging forces, reshaping surfaces, and blending atmospheres. Energy builds, shockwaves ripple, oceans swell, and debris begins to form. The universe, patient and silent, observes, allowing this story to unfold in a rhythm both majestic and gentle. This is the beginning of transformation, a moment in which immense power is present not in explosive violence but in measured, elegant motion, a calm before the greater change yet to come. In this quiet meeting, there is a lesson in patience, in observation, and in the poetry of the cosmos. Forces so large, energies so immense and distances so vast can still interact with elegance, shaping worlds and life in ways both profound and subtle. Time stretches, motion slows, and the universe reveals its story not as a sudden shock, but as a careful, deliberate ballet of matter, gravity, and energy. It is a moment to breathe, to marvel, and to contemplate the quiet poetry of cosmic transformation, the gentle prelude to a chapter that will leave Earth and Uranus forever altered, their fates intertwined in the slow, beautiful rhythm of the universe. After the first touch of Uranus, Earth begins to feel the lingering echoes of the collision, subtle vibrations that run through its crust, oceans, and atmosphere. Waves, larger than any previously recorded, roll across seas with gentle persistence, rising and falling in slow, hypnotic rhythms. Currents shift and spiral in new patterns, carrying warmth and nutrients along paths that have been reshaped by the massive forces now at play. Life in the ocean senses this change. Plankton drift along slightly altered currents, fish adjust routes with subtle instincts, and the larger creatures follow paths now guided by forces that were previously invisible. There is no rush, no panic, only a quiet adjustment, a calm response to the invisible pull of a giant that has left its mark. Beneath the surface of the land, tectonic plates continue their slow but relentless shift. Faults, stressed by gravitational compression, release tension in gentle tremors that ripple through mountains, valleys, and plains. Volcanoes awaken softly, magma pulsing in rhythm with the energy transferred during the encounter. Rivers of molten rock find new channels, carving patterns through the mantle that have never been traversed before. Even the planet's core, molten and dense, hums a quiet song, vibrating with the memory of Uranus's touch. The energy stored in these processes is immense, yet it unfolds with patience like a symphony stretching across eons, a story written not in noise but in gentle, persistent motion. In the atmosphere, clouds form new and intricate patterns, spiraling and drifting as if the sky itself has begun to dance. Winds follow unusual courses, shaping weather systems in ways that feel almost artistic yet are dictated by the invisible hand of gravity. Rain falls in rhythms slightly different from memory, and storms drift along paths that are familiar yet subtly transformed. Even the air carries a faint vibration, a gentle hum that whispers the memory of collision across continents and oceans. Observers might feel a strange calm, as though the planet itself is breathing in a new rhythm, harmonizing with forces far beyond the usual scale of life. Uranus too responds to the energy exchange, its icy and gaseous layers subtly reconfiguring. Methane clouds swirl with new intensity, forming spirals and eddies that drift lazily across its pale green-blue surface. Beneath, oceans of compressed liquid flow along slightly altered paths, carrying energy in a dance of unseen currents. The planet's magnetic field shifts imperceptibly, bending and twisting in response to the pull of Earth, while its moons glide along trajectories modified by these interactions. The collision has left both worlds subtly changed, a quiet reminder that immense forces, even when gentle, leave traces across time, space, and matter. The accumulation of energy in the aftermath is visible in the oceans of Earth. Waves crash upon shores with a grandeur previously unimaginable, rising higher, curling differently, and carrying the memory of the gravitational pull that altered them. Currents flow in new directions, shaping climates, distributing heat and guiding marine life along paths they have never travelled before. Coral reefs experience subtle changes in water movement, affecting tiny organisms that sustain entire ecosystems. The oceans become a living map of energy, a record of motion and interaction written in currents, temperature, and the slow movements of water. On land, the planet's crust continues its response, bending and flexing under stress. Mountains groan softly, valleys deepen, and magma flows along new pathways. Earthquakes, small yet persistent, ripple through regions that have been dormant for centuries. Volcanoes, though not erupting violently, release heat and gases in a steady, controlled pulse, adjusting to the redistributed forces of gravity and compression. The mantle shifts beneath, a slow and patient response to the touch of Uranus, reminding us that even the largest and seemingly most immovable parts of a planet are alive with energy, constantly reshaping, adapting and transforming. The sky tells another story of subtle transformation. Clouds drift in slow spirals, auroras shimmer, with colours intensified by altered magnetic interactions, and winds trace new courses over plains, forests and mountains. Storms follow gentle yet unfamiliar paths carrying moisture to regions that have been untouched for generations. The air hums with faint vibrations, a soft, almost imperceptible melody echoing from the gravitational interaction of two worlds. Nightfall brings a sky dominated by Uranus, pale green, blue and luminous, visible to all who look with patience. Its presence is both calming and profound, a visual reminder that even immense change can move with quiet elegance. Life, ever adaptable, responds in subtle and beautiful ways. Birds follow slightly altered migratory paths guided by pressure, magnetic fields, and instincts attuned to shifts in the planet's motion. Animals in forests, deserts and mountains adjust behaviours with a delicate awareness, sensing the quiet rhythm of environmental change. Oceans teem with life carried along new currents, and even tiny microorganisms drift along paths guided by the unseen hand of gravitational adjustment. Nature, in all its complexity, mirrors the quiet, persistent energy of the encounter, responding not with panic but with graceful adaptation. The magnetic interplay between Earth and Uranus is another thread in this narrative. Earth's magnetic field, stretched and nudged by the distant giant, weaves subtle currents through the atmosphere and oceans. Auroras, both familiar and intensified, shimmer across polar skies, their colours more vivid, their patterns more intricate. The interaction of fields creates faint electric currents that ripple through the upper atmosphere, influencing weather and energy in ways scientists are only beginning to measure. It is a delicate reminder that forces invisible to human senses are nonetheless shaping reality in profound and persistent ways. Even from a cosmic perspective, the collision leaves ripples across the solar system. Jupiter and Saturn, massive and distant, feel tiny shifts in the orbits of smaller objects as Earth and Uranus adjust to one another. Moons, rings and minor planets all respond imperceptibly to the redistribution of mass and gravitational pull. The universe, silent and patient, observes these events unfold with meticulous timing, a reminder that even the most violent or energetic occurrences follow patterns that are elegant, precise, and deeply beautiful. The aftermath is also a lesson in the persistence of time. Though the immediate effects are visible, much of the transformation occurs slowly, over decades, centuries and millennia. Oceans continue to shift, currents adjust, and tectonic forces reshape continents. Volcanic systems release heat gradually, mountains continue their slow growth or erosion, and climates slowly adapt to new rhythms. Life too evolves with these changes, organisms adjusting in ways that may not be visible for generations. The universe, in this, demonstrates patience, resilience, and the slow unfolding of energy in forms both magnificent and gentle. The story of transformation in its most poetic form is written in the interactions of matter, energy, and motion. Earth and Uranus, once separate, now touch and influence each other, their relationship expressed through oceans, winds, magma, magnetic fields, and subtle shifts in structure. The collision is not a single moment but a prolonged dialogue, an unfolding narrative written across the surfaces and interiors of both worlds. Each ripple, swirl and tremor is a sentence, each wave and spiral a phrase in the quiet poetry of cosmic interaction. In these echoes of transformation, there is also a lesson in humility and wonder. Forces far larger than human comprehension can move in ways both powerful and gentle, reshaping worlds without violence, influencing life without direct confrontation. Gravity, energy, magnetism and matter combine to create subtle changes that accumulate over time, a reminder that even the quietest interactions in the universe can be transformative. To observe this is to understand patience, scale, and the delicate poetry inherent in the motions of planets and stars. And so Earth continues to breathe, oceans rolling in new rhythms, winds shifting in gentle currents, and life adapting to subtle alterations. Uranus, serene and massive, drifts in quiet response, its layers of ice and gas flowing in gentle ripples. Magnetic fields interact, currents dance, and the universe observes in patient silence. The first stage of Aftermath is a story of subtle transformation, a narrative that will continue across eons, reshaping the world and the giant in ways both gentle and profound. In this quiet echo, one can feel the slow pulse of cosmic energy, a lullaby of matter and motion, a meditation on transformation written in the language of the universe itself. After the initial touch and subtle reshaping of Earth and Uranus, the solar system carries on its quiet rhythm, but the aftermath of their encounter begins to leave its mark. Oceans, which swelled with energy during the approach and collision, now settle into new patterns, rolling in rhythms slightly different from those of generations past. Currents, redirected by the gravitational pull of Uranus, trace paths that are both unfamiliar and harmonious, distributing warmth, nutrients, and life in ways that subtly reshape ecosystems. Fish follow these currents, plankton drift along new migratory routes, and coral reefs respond to altered flows of water, their fragile architectures adjusting to the quiet force of change. Even the smallest creatures, carried by invisible motions, participate in this cosmic recalibration, a silent testament to the delicate interconnectedness of all life. On land, the crust continues its patient adaptation. Mountains, flexed by the pull of Uranus, bear subtle scars of stress, ridges shifting imperceptibly over decades. Valleys deepen and magma continues to flow through newly forged channels beneath the surface, shaping terrain in ways both predictable and surprising. Volcanoes, though less active than during the initial encounter, release heat and gas in measured pulses, feeding the rhythms of the atmosphere and oceans above. The planet hums quietly beneath the surface, vibrating with the energy that once surged during the first contact, a persistent reminder that Earth is alive, its body and core responding with the resilience and patience that have defined its long history. The atmosphere too finds a new balance. Winds adjust their paths gradually, drawing moisture along routes that have shifted since the approach of Uranus. Clouds, shaped by the interplay of pressure, temperature and gravity, drift along slower yet deliberate trajectories, painting a sky that is at once familiar and subtly transformed. Storms, now guided by these altered patterns, move in ways that are gentle yet unpredictable, carrying rain to regions that may not have experienced it for decades. Auroras, heightened by the magnetic interactions with Uranus, shimmer with intensified colours, weaving ribbons of green and blue across polar skies, visible reminders of the vast, unseen forces sculpting the world above. Meanwhile, Uranus itself, composed of vast oceans beneath layers of ice and gas, adjusts to the redistribution of energy caused by the encounter. Methane clouds swirl in complex evolving patterns, and internal currents respond to the gravitational pull of Earth with a patient, almost meditative fluidity. Its magnetic field, enormous and invisible, stabilizes gradually, bending less dramatically and returning to a rhythm that accommodates the presence of a nearby world. Moons drift along orbits now subtly altered, some closer, some farther, all participating in the quiet dance of gravitational equilibrium. Uranus, serene and vast, reflects the calm patience of the cosmos, demonstrating that even enormous forces can achieve stability over time. Debris, a lasting signature of the encounter, drifts silently through space. Small fragments of ice, rock, and vaporized gases form delicate rings around the planets, orbiting in elliptical paths shaped by the pull of both worlds. These fragments are carried by gravitational currents, some eventually falling back toward their parent planets, others remaining suspended for centuries, tracing arcs across the night sky like faint, silent brushstrokes. Some of this material may one day coalesce into moons or rings, while other fragments drift indefinitely, a subtle reminder that even in quiet resolution, transformation leaves its traces. The redistribution of energy also reshapes Earth's magnetic field. Initially stretched and perturbed by the collision, it gradually settles into a new equilibrium. Magnetic currents ripple through the atmosphere, influencing weather patterns and auroras, while charged particles flow along new paths. Birds, insects, and migratory animals adjust instinctively to these subtle changes, guided by a force invisible to human ions, yet crucial to the continuity of life. Even human technology, compasses, satellites, and sensitive instruments records these changes, reminding observers that the universe, though vast and silent, interacts intimately with the smallest details of existence. Life continues its slow adaptation in the wake of transformation. Forests respond to altered rainfall and wind patterns, growing denser or more sparse in ways that mirror the reshaped environment. Rivers carve new channels in response to shifts in topography and oceanic inputs, feeding plains and deltas with water and nutrients along adjusted routes. Wildlife migrates according to new seasonal patterns, adjusting to subtle changes in temperature, pressure, and magnetic cues. Every creature, from the tiniest microorganism to the largest predator, participates in a dynamic adaptation, a quiet chorus of resilience echoing across the planet. The long-term aftermath also affects the cycles of seasons and climate. Earth's orbit, slightly perturbed by the encounter, carries the planet along a path that varies minutely from its previous course. Seasons shift subtly over decades, rainfall patterns adjust, and climates across the globe find new stability. Glaciers may retreat or advance in response to changed temperatures, while deserts and forests slowly alter their extent and character. The world, though transformed, continues its rhythms, demonstrating the patient persistence of planetary systems in restoring equilibrium after disruption. Uranus and Earth, now in their post-collision state, demonstrate the quiet elegance of cosmic resolution. Forces that once surged violently now settle into balance, with gravitational pulls countered, atmospheres reformed, and internal currents redistributed. The planets, massive and seemingly immutable, remind us that the universe operates both through enormous energy and patient adjustment, a combination of power and tranquility that shapes worlds without hurry. Their interaction is a study in duality, force and calm, motion and stillness, chaos and poetry, all unfolding across the vastness of space. Even the night sky bears the memory of transformation. Debris and dust form faint, almost imperceptible clouds that catch sunlight in subtle glimmers. Uranus, pale and serene, occupies its place with renewed grace, its moons tracing arcs in quiet stability. Stars, unperturbed yet witnessing, continue their distant dances, providing a backdrop of constancy against which this story of transformation unfolds. Observers who pause to look upward might feel a gentle awe, sensing both the scale of the event and the patient persistence with which the universe restores balance. Over centuries, the planet stabilizes further. Oceans settle into regular patterns, tectonic plates continue slow shifts, and the atmosphere finds enduring equilibrium. Life, ever resilient, evolves in response to new environmental conditions, species adapting to the subtle changes wrought by gravitational, atmospheric, and oceanic forces. Humans, observing from their vantage, record these shifts, marvelling at the scale and beauty of planetary resilience. In this long-term aftermath, the collision is no longer a single moment but a narrative of transformation, adaptation, and patient resolution. Finally, this stage of quiet stabilization teaches a meditation on time and scale. Forces that are inconceivably large move slowly, subtly, and inexorably. Change unfolds not in instant cataclysm alone, but in gradual adjustment, in quiet redistribution of energy, in the persistence of life adapting to new conditions. Earth and Uranus, once approaching with immense speed and force, now settle into a patient, delicate equilibrium, a testament to the elegance and endurance of cosmic mechanics. The universe whispers its poetry here, in oceans, winds, magnetic fields, and drifting debris, a lullaby of matter and motion that stretches across centuries, waiting for observers to breathe in its quiet wonder. And so the story of Aftermath continues, a narrative of subtle adaptation, gentle stabilization, and lingering echoes of cosmic energy. Earth and Uranus, altered yet resilient, maintain their places in the solar system, each carrying the memory of their encounter in oceans, crust, atmosphere, and magnetic fields. Debris drifts silently, currents flow in new rhythms, and life, persistent and adaptive, continues. In this calm resolution, the universe reveals its patient poetry, teaching that transformation, even on the scale of planets, can unfold with quiet grace, infinite patience, and enduring beauty. In the slow march of time, Earth and Uranus continue their gentle dance, each carrying the memory of their encounter across eons. Oceans have settled into new patterns, tides rolling in rhythms subtly altered by the lingering gravitational influence of the distant giant. Currents flow like slow rivers of energy, tracing arcs that were once impossible, carrying warmth, nutrients, and life in ways shaped by the quiet memory of collision. Fish follow these currents instinctively. Plankton drift along paths rewritten by unseen hands, and even the smallest microorganisms adapt to changes in water flow, temperature, and chemical balance. Life itself has learned to read the traces of cosmic touch, responding to a story written not in words but in currents, pressure, and motion. On land, tectonic plates continue their patient shift, mountains growing taller or worn down by forces that began millions of years before. Valleys deepen, rivers carve new paths, and volcanoes release heat in slow, steady pulses, adjusting to the redistributed energy that still hums within the planet's mantle. The crust is scarred yet resilient, bearing evidence of the encounter like a memory etched into rock. Magma flows beneath the surface in quiet, deliberate rhythms, feeding mountain formation, volcanic landscapes, and the subtle reconfiguration of continents. Even the planet's core, molten and dynamic, continues its gentle vibration, resonating with the distant memory of Uranus' touch. These slow changes remind all observers that transformation, especially on a planetary scale, unfolds over immense spans of time, measured in centuries, millennia, and geological epochs. The atmosphere, too, has found a long-term equilibrium. Winds trace predictable yet subtly altered routes, guided by the redistribution of pressure and temperature following the collision. Clouds form intricate patterns that drift across the sky in an almost artistic rhythm, while storms follow courses that are both familiar and quietly transformed. Rain falls in measured quantities, nourishing ecosystems that have evolved to accommodate the new patterns of water flow. Auroras, once intensified by magnetic interaction, now shimmer regularly, a pale, persistent reminder of the unseen forces that shape the world. The sky itself tells the story of memory, carrying the subtle signatures of energy and motion across continents and oceans, a gentle testament to the enduring poetry of planetary change. Uranus, distant and serene, continues to reflect the quiet aftermath of the encounter. Its pale green-blue clouds swirl in patterns shaped by the gravitational conversation with Earth, and internal currents adjust to the redistribution of energy that occurred during their meeting. Layers of ice and gas flow gently, carrying heat and momentum in intricate waves, while magnetic fields bend, twist, and stabilize over centuries. Moons orbit in quiet, altered trajectories, their paths holding the memory of past disruption yet settling into a rhythm of long-term stability. The distant giant, like Earth, bears no signs of violence in the present, yet its being has been transformed by forces that cannot be seen with the naked eye, only felt in subtle gravitational harmonics and cosmic memory. Debris from the encounter continues to drift through space, a faint, silent testament to the monumental forces at play. Tiny fragments of ice, rock, and gas circle the planets in delicate arcs, some forming transient rings, others slowly pulled back by gravity into the parent planets, or into new orbits that may eventually give rise to moons. Each fragment is a story, a remnant of transformation frozen in time, drifting through the quiet vastness of space. Though invisible to casual observation, these fragments shape the environment around the planets, subtly influencing light, radiation, and even future celestial interactions. The cosmos remembers, and these tiny remnants are its handwritten diary, detailing the encounter in a language of matter, motion, and quiet persistence. Life on Earth, shaped by a millennia of subtle adjustment, continues to adapt and flourish. Forests expand and contract according to rainfall and wind patterns influenced by the encounter. Rivers carve new paths through altered terrain. Deltas grow in response to redistributed sediment, and plains shift gently with soil movement. Animals may wade along rhythms attuned to new magnetic and atmospheric patterns, while oceanic life thrives along altered currents that carry nutrients to places previously untouched. Even humans, observing and recording, are part of this cosmic story, learning to understand forces far beyond ordinary perception, witnessing the interplay of matter and energy on scales that challenge comprehension. The magnetic interplay between Earth and Uranus has long since settled into a stable dance, yet traces of the encounter remain. Earth's field, slightly shifted in its alignment, guides life and technology with new subtlety. Auroras shimmer in predictable patterns, and charged particles flow along refined paths in the upper atmosphere. The residual magnetic energy from the collision whispers through the environment, a faint hum detectable only with sensitive instruments, a lullaby of forces that once surged with greater intensity. These magnetic traces remind all observers that even when change seems complete, the memory of transformation persists, woven into the fabric of the planet itself. Cosmic memory extends beyond the immediate solar system. Small gravitational shifts caused by the encounter ripple outward, minutely altering the orbits of minor planets, asteroids, and moons. Jupiter and Saturn, the distant sentinels of the outer system, respond ever so slightly to the redistribution of mass, their immense orbits nudged imperceptibly by the changed balance of forces. Though invisible to the eye, these effects are measurable across centuries, a reminder that even a single encounter between planets can echo across a solar system, leaving subtle imprints in the architecture of space itself. Over millions of years, Earth's orbit continues to evolve gently. Seasons adjust, climates find new rhythms, and ecosystems respond with gradual adaptation. Glaciers advance or retreat slowly, deserts shift imperceptibly, and forests expand or contract according to the long-term patterns of wind, rain, and solar exposure. Life, ever resilient, adapts to these conditions, species evolving in subtle ways to accommodate changes in their environment. The memory of the encounter with Uranus persists, not as trauma or chaos, but as an elegant reshaping of planetary systems, a testament to the resilience of matter, energy, and life. Uranus, in parallel, evolves over the same timescale. Its layers of gas, ice, and liquid respond to subtle variations in energy, adjusting circulation patterns and atmospheric dynamics. Magnetic fields, once perturbed, maintain a quiet stability, guiding charged particles in arcs that shimmer faintly across space. Moons drift along settled orbits, forming delicate rings of gravitational memory that mark the story of past forces. Uranus's presence in the outer solar system, pale and distant, carries a quiet poetry, a reminder that even the largest and most serene worlds bear the imprints of interaction across billions of years. The story of the distant future is therefore a meditation on time, resilience, and the subtle poetry of planetary evolution. Forces that once surged violently have slowed, energy has redistributed, and matter has adjusted to new equilibrium. Life continues to flourish. Currents move in predictable yet novel patterns, and debris traces silent arcs across space. Even the heavens above, populated with stars, planets, and moons, reflect a cosmic narrative of patient change, where energy transforms, stabilizes, and continues to shape existence in ways both gentle and profound. Finally, the memory of the collision becomes part of the universe itself. Oceans, mountains, skies, and magnetic fields carry echoes of forces that once surged with immense power. Debris drifts through space, telling the story of encounter in arcs of ice and rock. Life adapts and thrives, guided by subtle changes in environment, orbit, and energy. Earth and Uranus, transformed yet stable, continue their quiet journey through the solar system, a reminder that change is not always loud or violent, but can unfold with grace, patience, and enduring beauty. The universe in this whispers its eternal poetry, a lullaby of motion, memory, and infinite calm. As millennia pass, the story of Earth and Uranus unfolds quietly in the vast canvas of the solar system, a testament to the subtle persistence of energy and matter. The two planets, forever touched by one another, continue their orbits, carrying the memory of their encounter through space and time. Oceans ripple with gentle consistency, wave-tracing arcs shaped by the quiet, persistent pull of a gravitational history that began long before humans first gazed at the sky. Currents flow, carrying heat, nutrients, and life along paths etched by the encounter, a silent choreography that whispers of forces unseen but deeply felt. Every ripple, every swirl, is a reminder that transformation does not need to be violent to be profound. On land, the memory of the collision is etched into mountains, valleys, and rivers. Tectonic plates continue their slow migration, mountains flexing and adjusting in response to stresses that remain from ancient compression. Volcanoes, calmer now, breathe slowly, releasing heat and gases in a steady rhythm, shaping the landscape with patience rather than fury. Earth's mantle flows quietly, carrying energy deep within, a slow heartbeat beneath the crust that hums in harmony with the gentle rhythm of the cosmos. Life, sensitive to subtle changes in land, water, and atmosphere, continues to evolve, guided by invisible forces and environmental shifts that trace back to that long-ago touch of Uranus. The atmosphere reflects this enduring memory as well. Winds, still altered in path and rhythm, move across continents and oceans, shaping weather with quiet elegance. Clouds drift in complex spirals, precipitation falls in patterns subtly rewritten by the lingering influence of gravitational interaction, and auroras shimmer as a soft testament to the past. The magnetic field, adjusted and stabilized, continues to guide life, technology, and the natural world, tracing currents of energy that carry a record of distant encounters. The sky itself, calm yet alive, becomes a living diary of transformation, a quiet narrator that speaks of patience, endurance, and the poetry of planetary change. Uranus, distant and serene, remains a guardian of cosmic memory. Its swirling atmosphere, layered with methane, ammonia, and water ice, dances in subtle patterns, echoing the gravitational dialogue shared with Earth. Deep currents move quietly through liquid layers, carrying energy and mass in rhythms established during the encounter. Magnetic fields bend gently, establishing stable flows that will endure for millennia. Moons circle in patient arcs, some bearing faint traces of forces once exerted upon them, creating delicate systems that tell stories in installments. Even from afar, Uranus holds its presence like a soft sigh across the outer reaches of the solar system, a reminder that even giants, enormous and distant, carry quiet marks of their past interactions. Debris from the ancient encounter drifts through the void, forming ethereal rings and scattered clouds of rock and ice. Some fragments are drawn back toward planets, returning to the fold as if completing a journey begun billions of years earlier. Others remain suspended, orbiting in fragile arcs, reflecting sunlight in gentle glimmers that trace invisible histories across space. These particles, though tiny, act as messengers of memory, carrying energy, composition, and motion from a collision that reshaped worlds. They remind us that the cosmos preserves its stories in subtle ways, that even the smallest fragments of matter hold echoes of monumental change. Life on Earth continues its patient adaptation, evolving with a steady hand guided by the quiet, persistent rhythms of the altered world. Forests spread and retreat in response to long-term climate cycles. Rivers carve landscapes reshaped by the forces of gravity and energy, and plains flourish under the nurturing flow of redistributed water and nutrients. Animals, guided by magnetic fields, air currents, and instinctive memory, migrate along paths both familiar and transformed. Oceans teem with life adjusted to new currents, while the smallest organisms drift along invisible highways shaped by energy traces left over from the encounter. Life, in this, becomes an enduring witness to cosmic patience and transformation, thriving in harmony with forces that are vast, invisible, and profoundly subtle. Even human observers, though brief in the timeline of planetary change, can sense this enduring legacy. By studying tides, ocean currents, volcanic activity, atmospheric shifts, and magnetic variations, they glimpse the story of forces far larger than themselves. They understand in small but profound ways that Earth carries memory not only in rocks and water, but in the subtle patterns of energy that shape life and environment. Knowledge becomes a bridge between human consciousness and the grand, patient poetry of the universe, a connection that honors both science and the silent rhythm of cosmic change. The interaction of Earth and Uranus teaches a quiet lesson in the persistence of transformation. Forces that are unimaginable in magnitude can unfold with gentleness, patience, and subtlety. Motion, gravity, energy, and matter all conspire to reshape worlds not in instantaneous chaos alone, but in rhythms measured in centuries and millennia. The universe itself, patient and enduring, orchestrates this ballet with precision and elegance, demonstrating that even the most immense events can evolve into forms of quiet beauty, stability, and balance. Over vast spans of time, Earth's orbit continues to adjust imperceptibly. Seasons shift subtly, glaciers advance and retreat with new rhythms, and climates find enduring equilibrium in response to changes initiated long ago. Life evolves in tandem, species adapting to the environmental patterns guided by gravitational and atmospheric memory. Ecosystems, though altered, maintain balance. illustrating the resilience and continuity of life in the face of planetary scale transformation. The past encounter is no longer a sudden event, but a gentle, persistent shaping influence, a quiet force that underpins the living, breathing complexity of the world. Uranus, in the distant reaches of the solar system, mirrors this patient evolution. Its massive atmosphere circulates in stable, self-consistent patterns, while magnetic fields maintain quiet, orderly flows. The moons circle in slow, unbroken arcs, their paths bearing the faint imprint of gravitational dialogue with Earth. Debris rings, tiny fragments of ice and rock, continue to drift along elliptical paths, reflecting light in delicate, almost imperceptible arcs that tell the story of past energy. Uranus holds the legacy of interaction with patience, a testament to the quiet power of cosmic memory and the enduring elegance of planetary systems. Ultimately, the story of Earth and Uranus becomes a meditation on scale, time, and the persistence of transformation. Energy once concentrated in dramatic contact is now diffused across oceans, crust, atmosphere, and orbit. Matter carries the memory of movement and collision, while life, resilient and adaptive, thrives under subtle yet profound influences. The universe, vast and patient, allows this narrative to unfold with both majesty and tranquility, a lesson in the poetry of motion, energy, and enduring change. And so, in the gentle calm of cosmic time, Earth and Uranus continue their eternal rhythms. Oceans roll in soft, patterned waves, mountains flex imperceptibly, and winds trace delicate paths across continents. Debris drifts in arcs of memory, auroras shimmer softly, and life thrives in harmony with forces that are vast yet patient. The universe, in this quiet finale, reminds us that transformation can be subtle, elegant, and enduring, a rhythm that stretches across eons, carrying the story of giants, collision, and the infinite patience of cosmic motion. Here, in this serene resolution, the legacy of Uranus and Earth is both a lullaby and a meditation, a testament to the quiet poetry written in matter, energy, and time.